Tune in this evening for Preds Insiders starting at 6 right here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
For more, log on to thegamenashville.com. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Journell Construction. When winter wrecks your place, this is who you call. Tree through the roof, basement flooded, ice damage, deck smashed, roof leaking, power out, and everything feels sideways. Journell Construction does it all. Tree removal, water damage, structural repairs, roofs, decks, driveways, and full winter cleanup. Journell Construction. One call to the company that handles it all. Real help when you need it most. Do not wait for it to get worse. Get it handled now. Go to journellconstruction.com. That's journellconstruction.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
You know, every time I listen to that show open and I hear young gun Billy Derrick, it's awfully confusing for my family in Chicago because they listen to the open and they always ask me, who is Billy Derrick? And I have to explain to them that that was the guy in my seat before I was here. Sounds like a George issue, though. We'll have to get that taken care of at some point within the next 2 years or so. Welcome into the George Plaster Show. It is February 3rd, and I look outside right now. It's pretty gloomy, pretty cloudy. It's been raining all day. I have very low energy levels today, and I believe a big part of that is because of the weather. So hopefully, Kelly Holcomb, who is in Murfreesboro, I'm sure is getting the same weather as I am. Hopefully he can cheer me up. Kelly, how are we doing?
A low energy level, Parker.
Low energy levels. I'm very tired. I had some caffeine before I got on the show, and it's not kicking in.
That is really soft.
Well, what would you refer to that as? A telomere issue? Do I need to lengthen my telomeres?
I mean, something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know, but
the voice,
since my battery's running low here, I don't know.
Little, scratch in my throat. I have some hot tea. I'm going to push through as good soldiers do, but yeah, pretty low energy levels. I can't lie.
I appreciate you pushing through there, Parker. I mean,
Yeah.
Good gracious. I don't think I would have told everybody that. I mean, here's the deal. That's what I learned a long time ago. Everybody asks all the time, and this is kind of harsh, but they always ask, "Hey, how you doing?" Nobody really cares how you're doing. That's just to start a conversation.
True. That's so
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
Because if they say
nobody
pretty
wants
good-
to hear how you're doing.
Exactly, because if someone says pretty good, that means that they're fine. There are probably some sort of issues that they're not telling you about, but you don't really want to get into it. So you're just saying,
No.
all right, have a good one.
There's some people that you just can't say that to because they'll tell you they'll bring out their whole wardrobe of what's going on in their body. I feel bad. Like, okay, I just said that to kind of start the conversation, but I don't need to hear all that.
Yeah. We're not trying to stick around for all that. If I really want to know and I have the time, I will. Dang, we really sound like jerks right now, Kelly.
No, we don't. It's just part of life. It's human nature. Sorry. You can be nice all you want to, and women are nicer than men about that stuff, but I don't want to hear about what you got going on, man. You don't want to hear about what I got going on either. So I just say, hey, I'm great, man, even if I'm not.
I promise we're going to get into sports at some point, but Kelly, you know how women are. They can talk. And when they're with other women, they can really talk. And my wife was showing me, we have these things on our iPhones called voice memos. And she was talking to her friends through voice memo, left her friend a voice memo. It was 16 minutes long. 16 minutes long. She recorded it on the way to work. And, like with us, we just send thumbs up. That's all we got. That's all we got in the tank is a thumbs up emoji. And here women are sending 16-minute long voice memos.
Well, I'm gonna let you live on this one yourself because I'm not gonna say anything about the other side. I'm not gonna do it.
Put a pin in it.
Let's move on.
Hopefully she's not listening right now because that'll start a conversation I'm not trying to get into. All right. With that is a perfect segue into America's favorite update. And trust me, It is a loaded one. Kelly, I'll start with this. This is pretty big news. So it was announced that Nashville SC, Geodis Park, is going to host a soccer game for the 2028 LA Olympics. And for those of you that are confused by this, because the Olympics are going to be in Los Angeles in 2028 in exactly 2 years, why is a game being played in Nashville? Well, when I went to the Olympics in Paris, we went to a soccer game and they had it in Nice, France, which is 9 hours from Paris where the Olympics were. So they're just kind of trying to spread this thing out, but it's really cool that Nashville is going to get a soccer game.
I just heard that on the news too, man. I was listening to the radio on my way home, and I heard that. That is pretty cool, man. When I started out my career, I was fortunate enough to go overseas, and I had to play overseas to kind of get some experience. And you're talking about in Europe now, they love soccer, which they call football over there. But like those people will stay up all night watching some soccer, man. It's crazy and it's amazing. Like people over here, we're so used to football and baseball and basketball, but when you go to other countries, man, they love soccer, and that is a big thing in Europe and South America and all these other places. It's crazy.
Yeah, because when I went to that game, and the Olympics in soccer terms are probably not as big as, let's say, the World Cup, which is also going to be in this year in 26. But still, like going to a European soccer game, even if you're not a soccer guy, which I'm not, it's a whole different world. So it's pretty cool that, Nashville will kind of get more recognition, more people will be aware of Nashville SC. That'll be pretty cool at least. And funny enough, Kelly, we were talking about Barry Trott's retirement yesterday, him stepping down as the Nashville Predators general manager. Well, the Predators had a very exciting game last night versus the Blues. At one point, they trailed 5-1, and then they scored 5 straight goals to win 6-5 in regulation, nonetheless.
Never know, man. You just never know. That's why until the time's off the clock in professional sports, man, you just never ever know. Somebody can mount a comeback. I got beat one time by the Chicago. I know you're a Chicago Bears fan, but when we were playing the Bears, there were 58 seconds left to go on the clock. The Cleveland Browns were winning 21-7. They hit a Hail Mary, and then they made the extra point. Then they lined up for an onside kick. They got the onside kick. They got it down. They scored, made it 21-21, and then in overtime, first play, pick 6. Bears win.
Oh my god.
Crazy, man.
And they've had
27-21
finishes this year, but wow.
27-21. Man, I can't remember that, man. It was 2000 and it was between 01 and 04. So I'm not sure, but they beat us they tied us in 58 seconds, and then first play of overtime, pick 6. Way to go, Browns.
Yeah, very very Cleveland-esque, Kelly.
It happens.
No offense to the people of Cleveland, they're great people. I'm friends with a lot of them. Hopefully, the Browns can turn it around.
Hopefully. I'm not holding my breath.
Big hope, right?
Yep.
So the college football playoff dates / times were announced for the next 2 years. Oh, I do not enjoy reading this. So in 26 and 27, we will get the quarterfinals on Wednesday, December 30th and Friday, January 1st. No New Year's Eve games. And then the semifinals will be on the 14th and the 15th of January. And the national championship game being played almost a week later than it was this year, January 25th. So we have our quarterfinals, which start, I believe it would be, or not our quarterfinals, the first round would start either 14th, 15th, 16th. And our national championship game is being played on January 25th. What are we doing?
Yeah, 2 years ago, I was really, and I've expressed it on this program, but I was over college football. Now this past year it wasn't too bad. I don't know why it wasn't too bad, but then they start doing that again. Like, let's go, get it over with. I mean,
Kelly,
that's going to be like a week before the Super Bowl, is it not? Yeah.
I think next year the Super Bowl falls on Valentine's Day, which is going to be tough for a
Okay,
lot of
so that's
dudes.
yeah, that is.
But
Yep.
it's too close, and I have a lot of ideas, but I'll save those for another time. So that is at least for 26 and 27, and then in 27, 28, we will get quarterfinal games on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, thankfully, and then the semifinals will be on January 13th and January 14th. But again, that championship game, they push it back like 2 weeks, which I don't understand.
I don't either.
So I'll just leave it at that. Joey Aguilar is suing the NCAA for a 6th year of eligibility. And what he's trying to state is his JUCO years, which he spent 2 years in JUCO, should not count towards his FBS eligibility. And I don't know exactly when the court date is. I'm going to have to look that up. But he's suing the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility. He'll be 25 years old.
So what's going to happen then? I mean, is he coming back to UT or is he going somewhere else?
So
we'll have to ask Tony that.
Yeah, we will. Which, by the way, we'll have him on at 3:20. On 3 obtained a copy of Joey Aguilar's lawsuit, and basically, here's a quote from it. Aguilar needs relief now to know whether he should report to spring practice or start preparing for the NFL draft. And he's going to sue the NCAA in Knox County Court for his 6th year of eligibility. So we'll have to ask Tony. I'm sure Tony has some more insight on that.
But he does. It's crazy, man. It's crazy what's going on in college sports right now with guys being in the G League coming back after 3 years of playing in the G League. And then we got another guy from the G League. And now we got all these. And we know the NCAA does not have a good track record of winning these cases. They just kind of throw up their hands and say, you know what? You got it.
Right. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. We had a whole debate about Bill Belichick not being included as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Well, the owner of the Patriots, the current owner, Robert Kraft, is not going to be in the Hall of Fame class of 26 either.
Seems like a boycott of the New England Patriots organization, man.
That's exactly what it seems like.
Kind of crazy, man.
We're all thinking the same thing on this. So Matt Nagy has been hired as the New York Giants offensive coordinator under John Harbaugh. This is interesting because he was one of the finalists for the Titans job, and also Denard Wilson, who was the Titans DC last year, is going to be the DC of the Giants as well.
Wow. So there's still things happening, man. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall because we all said it was set in stone that Mike Morganti was going to hire Matt Nagy as the head coach here, and that just didn't work out. And I would just, when something like that happens, he's got a relationship with him. He's been in the organization. They've been in the same organization for a while, but you just wonder if he felt pressure because the owner is the owner, and the owner ultimately has the red pen. They're going to make the decision of who they want. And I know that he obviously voiced his opinion, but it'd been funny if Robert Saleh was his hire, that he felt good about Robert Saleh, or whether he had some reservations about that and he wanted Matt Nagy. I don't know, man. We'll never know that, but that stuff does happen behind closed doors. I mean, he might have felt pressure with saying, "Hey, I'm going to go with who she wants to go with and not rock the boat."
I have no idea. In other NFL news, Matt Ryan, who is the new president of football ops for the Atlanta Falcons, was non-committal about Michael Penix being the starting quarterback next season. The injury concerns, they're there. We know the talent, his potential is pretty high, but the injury.
He had those injuries in college, though. He had a major knee problem in college. I just. He can sling the ball, but that's one of those deals. I can remember going to the combine and you have all 32 teams sitting there grinding on, I had shoulder surgery in college, sitting there grinding on that. And I'm like, it was hurting. And I'm like, they said, how does that feel? And I'm like, I'm fine with it. But when a guy has surgery, I didn't, he had that in college. It was kind of like Will Levis. Will Levis was injured in college, and it's the same thing when he got to the pros. And Michael Penix, he's a talented guy, but in the National Football League, you've got to be up and you've got to be healthy and you got to be on the field. You got to be consistent with that. And if you're not, it's hard for teams to make decisions about you. And then when they do make a decision like that, it could get them in a bad situation because I've said it before. If you make the wrong decision at quarterback, it can mess you up for 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely. And by the way, one more NFL news and notes, excuse me. Before we get to George, I told you yesterday on the show that, shared a brief update about what's going on with George. He's going to join us here in just a second to give a further update. But by the way, Kelly, one last thing for me. Did you realize the Pro Bowl games were tonight?
Man, I just saw that on the computer.
You know how much interest I'm going to have in that?
I'm not tuning in. I'm sorry, but everybody else can. Yeah, I know everybody else can.
I'm watching Tennessee tonight. They play Ole Miss. So
yeah,
quick plug for the Vols. And with that, we will get to George. Again, I shared a little bit what was going on with him, and here he is to provide a further explanation. George, take it away.
Parker, what's going on?
Nothing much. Kelly and I have just been trying to hold down the fort the best we can.
Yeah, and I appreciate what you all have done. About a week and a half ago, I just sort of made the decision. I was really getting worried about the voice issues and decided that I wasn't doing anybody any good being on and sounding like, I had a big, I don't know, whatever in my throat.
A frog in your throat?
Frog, yeah.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago, I had a polyp on a vocal cord, and it got really serious, and I was off the air for about 3 months. This was back in 2006, and the folks at the Vanderbilt Voice Clinic had treated me. They're the best voice clinic in the country. So I reached out to them about a week ago, asked for an appointment, went in yesterday and had the scope done. Kelly, you would not like the scope because they stick this thing down your throat that has a camera in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so they can see all the stuff. It's kind of nasty. And the first time that they did it, it just scared the hell out of me years ago. But this go round was good. They found no structural damage, which is great. They have suggested a couple of, I don't know what you call them, voice therapy sessions to hopefully getting me to breathe better and help my throat more and all that kind of jazz. This has gotten a lot better in the last 2 or 3 days. It probably sounds like I've been faking it, but I haven't. I do think that the week staying off of it was really good for me. Staying in a downtown hotel sucked, but that's neither here nor there.
George, did you listen yesterday? Because I told Taylor Barnett when he was on, I said, George is just being soft. That's what put a lounger in your throat and let's go. But he was like, yeah, he wasn't going to commit to that because he loves him some George. And he said, he didn't say anything, but I said, I'm going to say it. George needs to toughen up. He's being soft right now.
George, let it be known. I defended you against Kelly.
Did you really?
I did.
First of all,
I did.
Kelly's lack of professionalism is so shocking.
It oozes out.
And I wouldn't expect anything less. Taylor did send me kind of a snarky email last night, at which point I said to him, where the hell were you when Belmont was ripping Murray State Saturday night? I was there. You were not. What's wrong with that picture? Yeah.
Got him there.
Yeah. So
how is Murray State pretty good, George?
Their record is pretty good. I didn't come away very impressed.
Yeah.
They used to be a team that just out-athleticed you.
Right.
And I don't see that level of athleticism in them anymore. Belmont just beat the stew out of them. The score ended up like 17. It was truly a 30-point game. They were never in it.
And Belmont put, 100 points up in the process?
They had 100 by the time I left, with about 6 minutes left in the game.
Oh, my God.
Gracious.
Yeah.
They shot the lights out.
In the update, Kelly, has Parker mentioned the Preds?
He has. We spent
actually deleted a segment
on. We spent a segment on the Preds yesterday. I was thinking maybe you needed to come on because I know you went to the press conference because of your relationship with Barry Trotz. So I was thinking maybe we should have had George on to, cough his way through some kind of update.
Instead of us talking about the Preds.
Okay, you can tell I'm not coughing my way through. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's a whole lot better.
Right. Right.
And
So I'm going to ask you, just give us a little synopsis. What did you think of Barry Trotz and, his resignation?
Honestly, I'm not sure that I believe the story.
Oh, we just lost him. And he had some good stuff going too.
Ready to get into it.
I know. He had some good stuff going too. Or George is going to bring the truthfulness out.
Oh, no.
He didn't believe it.
So here's what I'm thinking that we should do. We'll go to commercial break because we got Tony B coming up. And then maybe George will be able to join us on the other side and he can mention really quickly what he thought of Barry Trotz's press conference. And then we'll get right to Tony. All right?
Let's do it.
The plan.
Yep.
This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits Nashville. The Chicago Hounds face the reigning champion, the New England Free Jacks, in the Music City Rugby Showdown. Live at Geodis Park, Sunday, April 19th, kickoff at 3. Hard hits, nonstop action. Don't wait. Get your tickets at chicagohounds.com. Live at Geodis Park on Sunday, April 19th, kicking off at 3 p.m. Hard hits, nonstop action. Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits the biggest stage in Nashville. Don't wait. Tickets will go fast. You can get your tickets at chicagohounds.com.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
Kelly, I'm told we have George back.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay.
George, you cut out on us.
Well, I got a phone call, and that sent the whole thing into orbit. Is that supposed to happen?
I don't know. Maybe you accidentally did you click a button? Click the green button to answer the phone call?
No.
Oh, he's got a Cricket phone, so that's probably what happened.
Oh, that's nice. So, Kelly, you asked me a question. I'm going to try and give you a serious answer.
All right.
And I don't want to accuse anybody here of not telling the truth, but I'll admit I'm having a hard time figuring out whether this is really exactly the way this whole thing went down. The timing of it is really weird. And, Barry's reached an age, he and I are close to the same age where you start thinking about different things in life that maybe are more important than the job you have. And maybe that is what went on. But knowing him the way I do, I just kind of feel like my gut feeling is this is something he would have wanted to see through to a better place. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm just having a hard time with it.
And that's kind of what I said yesterday. You don't know what goes on, but he obviously made the decision in December because he told Mr. Haslam that, and then they come out now. But I don't know. I told Parker yesterday, like sometimes when you get in that general manager aspect of an organization, it's maybe not what you think, but he's been around the league and been around hockey for so long that obviously you have a relationship with the coach and the general manager. You kind of see both sides, and sometimes when you're a coach like Barry Trotz was, he started the organization here and then he went to Washington and won it. It's hard to take the coach out of it. And, maybe he had felt like, hey, general manager is, I would like to see it on better ground, or maybe he thought it was on good. I don't know. But sometimes it's hard to take the coaching out and you see things that you can't do anything with and it starts bothering you. And maybe he wanted to go spend time with his family. I don't know. We don't know. We'll never know. Only he and the guys in that room know.
Yeah. And there's two sides to all of this, Kelly. One is that there are people that think this thing needed a total rebuild.
Right.
And then there's the business side that's saying, wait a minute, we got to sell tickets in a market that's not Chicago or Philly or New York. It doesn't have that kind of 50 to 75 year bandwidth. And if we go total rebuild, what happens? And I think that's one of the things right now that's making it very hard in Predator land.
Yep.
I'll also say this couldn't have been a good day for Andrew Brunette because, whoever the next GM is, number one, it's human nature to want your own guy. And secondly, is this team good enough to outwin that desire to make a change?
Yeah, and that's another thing I meant to bring up yesterday. I forgot about it when I got off the air. But you're absolutely right, George. Every gentleman, he's on a short leash. I mean, that's just part of professional sports. When a new regime comes in, a new general manager, if you win and you're good with the GM and y'all can keep that thing going, then hey, we're going to do it. But like the first sign of trouble, man, he's going to go to he's going to go to the owners, he's going to go to the organization and say, hey, this is not my guy. I want to do something, and that's just part of professional sports.
I don't mean to cut anybody off, but we have Tony B.
Oh, well, then go to him. Let him know I appreciate. He reached out to me last week, and that was really very kind of him to do that.
I accidentally kicked myself out of the stage, so I apologize. We have Tony B backstage, and I feel like this would be the perfect time to bring him in, or should I say Indiana Jones, given the hat he's wearing. Tony B, do you have a reaction to the Barry Trotz Predators news?
I'm with George, man. I think it's really curious because, look, the NHL trade deadline happens right after the break here coming up for the Olympic break. And my thing would be, why now? Not being on that beat, not being around it every day, but being somebody that watches the NHL, follows the NHL pretty closely, is pretty familiar with how the Preds before 2 seasons ago pretty much went with an aging core and sort of went that route and tried to augment what they were doing and, getting a win now mode, so to speak. I don't know. I think Barry Trotz has been obviously a great hockey man for the city of Nashville and should be beloved by the fan base and should be loved. It feels curious. If it's not health related, it feels curious as to why you would do it right this second. Because it just doesn't line up with the Preds. It doesn't line up with the NHL calendar nor the Preds schedule. For instance, are the Preds now going to be a seller at the break? Are they going to be a buyer? They're not going to be a buyer. But then again, they're only a couple points out of that final wild card spot in the West. 3 points. I mean, my Flyers would like to be 3 points out of the break right now. So I guess in a roundabout way, it doesn't really make much sense unless this was forced. But then again, if it was forced, it wouldn't make much sense. If you tell me it's not health related and you tell me he's not burned out, then why'd he do it? Why would you do it now?
I think there might have been, and I don't have any insider information on this, but I just think there might have been some philosophical differences. I think Barry Trotz wanted to undergo a true rebuild because the Predators in their 30-year history have never really done that. I don't know if the front office wanted to or not. So that's kind of what I think. But again, I have no idea. I have more questions than I have answers.
If you were ever going to sell, this draft would be a pretty good one to sell and try to get in that top 5 and get one of these impact players because it's a pretty good draft at the top of that thing. Last year, the Islanders finished, I want to say 11th and got the number 1 pick in that Schaefer kid who's 18 years old. And he turned the fortune of any franchise around that he got if you could get a kid like him at the top. This year, you've got a guy like McKenna at the top of the draft. But there's 3 or 4 of them that are really good this year at the top of the NHL draft. I'm showing you some NHL knowledge here, Kelly. You didn't know I had it, did you?
You are, man.
And scientifically.
You know what though? When I first started doing this years ago, and I started looking at the NHL, I didn't realize that there's not too many rookies that get drafted that come to the big team. They all go do something else. Like, because in my sport or in the other sports, rookies are part of the deal.
That's right.
And then the NHL, they draft them and they hold their rights, but they go off and do other things. There's not many guys that come in and have an impact like you're talking about.
You can draft them and they return to college.
Well, that's right. They go to college. Like the other day, the Flyers have a guy named Porter Martone. They got in last year's draft. He took on this McKenna guy up at Penn State, and they had like 80,000 people in their football stadium for this thing. Up there,
crazy.
It was spitting snow, and it was like 18 degrees outside, and they had like 80,000 people out there watching it. But I guess what I'm getting at with the Preds is, and George is right, listening to him talk, sometimes in that league, unless you break it down to the studs, you're not going to get better because you've got to get a 1C and a 1D, and you just can't get those guys in the open market. It's hard to find that top line center. It's hard to find that top line defenseman. If you go back and look at that Preds 2017 team, they just did a wonderful job of finding guys. The organization back then did a great job of finding guys and building guys. And, it's tough though. And you have to have a great goaltender too. That's the other thing.
Because it seems like they've just kind of been, right on the cusp of making the playoffs or making the playoffs or, that's kind of what it seems like. So just kind of settling for mediocrity. It really does, at least on the surface, appear that Barry Trotz wanted a true rebuild, and that's not what was happening.
Yeah, well, that would make sense then. Why he said, because here's the thing. If he wanted a true rebuild, that would tell me that at the break, after the Olympic break, when that trade deadline happens, he's wanting to sell off those pieces because that's what you would do. So philosophically, if you've got a difference of opinion and you don't want to be a part of this, then I guess the timeline would, in a sense, add up. I guess that makes sense.
I learned something today.
There you go.
So I didn't know you knew this much about hockey, Tony.
I love.
He knows a lot about it. He knows something about everything.
I know.
No,
Kelly and I spent a whole segment on this yesterday, and I promise.
Fake it till you make it.
I promise the listeners do not want to listen to me and Kelly talk about hockey. So I'm glad we have someone with a little expertise on. But we're going to get into the University of Tennessee. This Joey Aguilar situation continues to go on. He's suing the NCAA. What's the latest with that?
He extracted himself from the Pavia lawsuit. They're following the Charles Bediako deal that we talked about last week on here. Look, here's the new thing now that you do. You get in a local court. I had Neil McCready on today, who does and covers Ole Miss as well as anybody, and he's really great, really smart guy. And we had him on today, and McCready said, I said, what's going to happen down there with Chambliss? He said, he's going to go to a local court. He's going to get a temporary restraining order, and he's going to play football this fall. I talked to Adam Sparks, the News Sentinel, later in the show today. I said, Adam, what's going to happen? He said internally they feel pretty good about it because that's the new thing now. You go before a local judge. Now, anytime you go before a judge, you never know what's going to happen. But you get before a local judge who lives in a local town among local citizenry where they work, where they worship, where they congregate, where they play, where they recreate, where they play golf, where they hunt, where they fish, whatever it is they do. And nobody wants to let their friends down. I mean, that's just a part of life. Now, the other thing is the NCAA is kind of a mockery. It's kind of a fraud of a sham of a fraud of a mockery. And so why at this point, they don't win in court anyway. So what harm is it to the citizenry if Joey Aguilar gets to play another year of college football? The answer is none. I mean, that's why we're seeing all this. These guys, and then it comes out the judge down in Alabama. I mean, I don't know if you believe everything you read on the internet, but I read on the internet that he's like a donor to Alabama sports.
That is true.
I mean, I don't know if I believe everything I read, but I'm going to repeat it because that's what we're doing. It's 2026. The point is this, guys. Look, the new formula is that you go before your local judge in your jurisdiction and you ask for a TRO. And once you get your temporary restraining order, at that time, you are free to move about the cabin. You are free to go play the sport you're playing until they can get you back in court. And at that point, the strategy is to just drag it out as long as you can, and let your season happen. And then you play your season. And then we live happily ever after. And the NCAA stand over there in a quarter, laying in the corner in a fetal position, all neutered like they should be, because they're idiotic and moronic, and there's not a place for them anymore. Get out.
Okay, so I have a kind of a two-parter question. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly. One, you mentioned the temporary restraining order. So would he be able to play because of that, or is this just going to be one of those things where he gets the TRO and then they decide that they're going to give him the extra year of eligibility? And two, how does this affect his chances in the NFL?
Well, he's not going to play NFL football. So his whole point is, and that's his argument. Look, I can make $2 million here next year playing the game. I'm not projected to be a top flight NFL quarterback. I want essentially another year added on because I spent 2 years in a junior college. And I don't know whether his arguments on it. I'm not here to argue the merits of his arguments. They're doing it not a part of Pavia's suit because they want to do it in their own court, because that's the way this is being done now, just like that's the way Chambliss is going to do it. And you know what? Who's to argue, guys, that isn't the right way to do it? Go before a local judge in your local place, in your local town, and get the restraining order. And if you can get a stay, then you can go play until a judge in another courtroom tells you can't play. And that's the new formula now. That's what these people are trying to do. That's what these athletes are trying to do all over the place. And, the NCAA, again, guys, they deserve and belong over in the fetal position, looking like the true lemmings that they really are in the midst of this. Like a little shaved lamb laying over in the corner. It's time to put them out to pasture. That's it for them. It's enough.
So Tony, what does that do to the UT football team, and what are you hearing from over there? Are they crossing their fingers that this is gonna go through, or they care, or are they moving on, or if he wins his lawsuit, is he coming back to UT, or will he go somewhere else?
No, everybody wants an answer. His attorney says that UT's got a spot for him on the roster.
Okay.
And a $2 million offer. That's what they said yesterday in their filing. So they get their case heard. The judge says, yeah, you know what? In light of what happened down there in Alabama, in light of what happened with this kid at Kansas, in light of what happened to the kid at wherever, kid at Rutgers, there's all these different places. In light of what happened to Pavia last year, whatever it is, go play. At that point, he's going to be free to play, and Tennessee's going to take him. Now, here's my thing, Kelly. This is what makes this an interesting topic for me on my show is I don't know that that's the best thing for Tennessee, because I'm a next year's a bridge year, rebuilding year kind of guy anyway. And you got to get your young quarterbacks some playing time next year for looking ahead to 27. But here's the thing. No football coach wants to take a risk of not having a quarterback that's got experience, especially one that played pretty well for me last year. That's just the truth. Do I think Joey Aguilar is a great player? No, I do not. Do I think you're in danger of running off and making the playoffs with him at quarterback? It makes me very unpopular to say this, but I think to win in a high level in Josh Heupel's offense, you have to be able to run with the ball some. You have to be able to move your feet. And he's not a foot moving guy. Now, he is a throw the ball downfield guy who can make that deep throw, who's a very good leader, a very solid kid. The running piece he just doesn't have. He looks like one of my relatives running with the ball. We weren't known for our speed, Kelly. We're not known for our speed.
No, so that leads me to another question, man. I was just thinking when you were talking. I know that he's gone and he's got his lawyers, but is this going to happen in the future with some of these college programs where they're not quite sure at the quarterback position, and all the big guys that are coming out have signed with other teams? Will they kind of nudge their guy that played last year? Hey, we need you to go get a lawyer and go look to maybe getting another year of eligibility. Is that going to start happening?
Kelly, why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
Everything else is open.
You know how coaches think.
Yeah. Do you think they've nudged him on? Do you think they've nudged him on, Tony, or no? They've allowed him to do this, or do you think somebody told him, said, "Hey,
you know what? I'm gonna have to give you credit. That thought hadn't even occurred to me, but obviously they've nudged him on. That thought hasn't even occurred to me. To think that this guy's just kind of out here operating on his own, in a vacuum as just his own agent. would be a little bit. What would the term for that be? It would be a little naive, wouldn't it?
A little bit, and
now this is big business.
And I know, and if they're nudging him on, do you think they're nudging him towards a certain counsel,
Listen,
a certain
I don't know
lawyer, or
about
certain
any of that? But here's what I can tell you: if they're nudging him on, like that thought hasn't even popped into my head. If they're nudging him on, though, what are they telling the other families of the other two kids? You know what I would say? Hey, we don't have anything to do with that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because football
anything
football
goes.
Coaches don't lie. Football coaches don't. I have a bumper sticker on my car that says "Football coaches don't lie."
If we believe that, we're really naive. Because there's not a football coach in America now that tells the truth.
You can't. You're in a system now. It's kind of like Dabo Swinney said. You're in a system now that it's just a matter of to what degree are you shading it now? Because you can't. Everybody's trying to steal your players. You're trying to steal everybody else's players. And then your players that are back on your roster, you're trying to say, hey, we have a spot for you, and just hope you can play, beat the clock till they're in school long enough that they can't leave anymore.
So what did you, and I know you talked a little bit about it last week, but the Dabo Swinney situation where the Ole Miss came in after his linebacker and they took him. But what did you think about some of the comments he had and about the eligibility deal? Because I think that's what it needs to be. You could transfer one time, and then after that, something's got to happen.
Well, there's no union. I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
the Supreme Court's already spoken.
That's true.
Supreme Court's already spoken. So in a perfect world, hey, they had a chance to deal with these kids for the last 15 years, and they ignored it, and they kicked the can down the road, and they were greedy, and they were gross. And there's an old saying, and it's that pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, and the NCAA is a hog laying right over there in the corner, and they got shaved, and they're getting ready to get slaughtered.
Okay, I got one more. Parker's telling me to wrap up, but I got one more. Let's talk a little bit about basketball.
Plaster took up my time today. George Plaster.
He did.
He did.
We can come back. I think we ought to come back. I personally think we ought to come back after the break. What do you think there, Tony?
Tony, you got time?
I've got to get to a viewing for a friend whose father passed away.
Okay. Well, one more thing. Basketball wise, how good is this Nate Ament kid? And he's going for a 4-time Freshman of the Week deal. And is this one of these deals where he's going to have a great year and now he's going to command all this money and we're going to have to go back to the negotiating table with him after the year?
No, he's gone to the NBA. But this kid's a great example of, if you'd asked me if this was going to happen a month ago with him, Kelly, I'd have told you you're crazy. But this guy's body language, all of a sudden, he's become like alpha dog on the court. And he looked like little Bo Peep a month ago out there.
Taking over.
It looked like he was afraid of his own shadow a month ago. And people were going, oh, this guy, another one of these Rick Barnes 5-star guys, and Barnes was telling everybody, hey, wait. You got to wait for it. You got to wait. And in our society we have now, if you don't do it in the first 12 games, you're a bust and you suck.
Oh, that's crazy.
This kid took a few games for the lights to go on. It happened when they got a little bit into the league schedule, but he's averaging north of 21 points per game in his last 6, and he's just getting ready. He's going to score in the 30s before it's over. He's getting ready to blow the roof off this place. He's getting his high side is really sweet. He can really shoot the ball, but what he's got that I like is he's got a little fire in his game that he did not show till recently. The other night he was screaming at the crowd and getting into it, and you can just tell body language wise with these guys. Well, you've seen it, Kelly, when these athletes get to the point where they feel comfortable around their teammates, feel comfortable in their environment, know in their heart and mind that, hey, I can do this. I'm not afraid out here. I don't have to. I can play free. I can just be myself. It's kind of a beautiful thing. It really is.
Tony,
there's always that question too. Sorry, Tony, I know you got to go, but there's always that question. Even in the
keeps trying to cut me off. This young kid hosting the show.
I'm not trying to cut you off. I'd love to have you on the whole show if it were up to me.
Even in the NFL, like when you're the first pick of the draft, like Peyton, I was there his first couple of practices, and you always wonder, am I good enough to do this? And then there comes a time where you get comfortable in the situation, and I can do it, and then the light turns on, and then wow, that's what happens. That's what's happened with this young kid.
You can see it. I mean, when you see it, and that body language is like, come on.
That's right.
Come on. Like I play music, and so I've had some music students and stuff are taught, and I'll get them to play out live. And the first couple of times they'll do it, they'll be like, and then when they get going and they get comfortable, then all of a sudden they're out there and they're letting it rip. And you're like, oh,
that's right.
I can do this. I belong here. I put in the work. That's what I say. I put in the work. I belong here. Like when I'm playing music, I say, your musicians listen to know this. Hey, if you don't put in the work, then you feel naked out there. Cause then you're like, whoa, no. When you put in the work, you're ready to go. That's why we practice, Kelly, right?
That's right, brother. Appreciate
Love
you, man.
Guys.
Thank you,
Sorry
Tony.
about your friend, man.
Love you guys. Thank you guys.
See you.
That was the great Indiana Jones. Great movie series, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Tony Basilio, our good friend from Knoxville, telling us the latest with Joey Aguilar, Nate Ament, all of everything that's going on with University of Tennessee athletics. Kelly, we've got a really quick segment on the other side. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a race and sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Here's Officer Darren Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you.
Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits Nashville. The Chicago Hounds face the reigning champion, the New England Free Jacks, in the Music City Rugby Showdown. Live at Geodis Park, Sunday, April 19th. Kickoff at 3. Hard hits, nonstop action. Don't wait. Get your tickets at chicagohounds.com.
And tell them Plaz sent you.
Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits Nashville. The Chicago Hounds face the reigning champion, the New England Free Jacks, in the Music City Rugby Showdown. Live at Geodis Park, Sunday, April 19th. Kickoff at 3. Hard hits, nonstop action. Don't wait. Get your tickets at chicagohounds.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
super duper quick segment here on the George Plaster Show. Kelly, I wanted to touch on something that real quickly that Tony said about the Joey Aguilar situation. And, I was thinking about the temporary restraining orders and, how he's filing for his 6th year of eligibility. College football, in my mind, is far from broken. College athletics are far from broken because, and I don't like using ratings to back up what I'm saying, but the national championship game had 30 million viewers, over 30 million. So people are clearly going to watch, but it seems like we're kind of taking a negative tone with this right now because there are no games on to distract us. College sports are far from broken, but there are still things that need fixing.
And I'm just waiting because it's I said this before. We're all talking about this transfer portal and the NIL stuff, and my generation does not like this. I don't know how your generation thinks about it, but I think it's kind of wearing my generation wrong. But you just said it. I mean, there's still people watching games. There's still people watching college football. They love it. So until the ratings go down and still people stop watching, it doesn't matter. And there's so much money involved in it. But the thing that what I brought up there to Tony that he's never thought about, like, you got to think about that. If you're in a desperate situation at quarterback or at another, maybe a cornerback or a safety or something, and you've got a kid that is probably not going to play in the National Football League, but he's played a lot for you, and he's a very he's a talented kid, but he has no future in the NFL. If you're a coach, maybe in a backdoor meeting or one of his buddies or one of the players on your team that's really close with him, say, go up to him and say, hey, ask Joey what he thinks he's going to do. Like, does he want another year of eligibility? Tell him he might need to be thinking about that, and maybe he needs to go see this so-and-so who's a lawyer down the street that's a friend of mine. Like, that stuff's going on, I guarantee you, at some point. And, I'm with Tony because I think they got to get a young guy ready because it may be a bridge year for those guys. But you got a guy in Joey Aguilar who he just said Tennessee's got room for him. They've offered him $2 million if he wins his lawsuit. It's kind of like Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss. He already got declined, but guess what? They say his appeal is going to go through, and he's going to be the quarterback for Ole Miss next year. So I don't know, man. This is just crazy times, man. It's he's also right about going to a local judge because a local judge is in the community, and everybody in the community is a Tennessee Vol fan in Knox County. And you've got people that are your friends that are boosters to that, and they want to see their team succeed. So that puts a little pressure on you as a judge as well. So I don't know, just crazy times, man. Crazy things are going on. Crazy things happening.
Craziness. I told you this was going to be really, really short. On the other side, to start off the 4 o'clock hour, we have stat of the day. Then we're going to preview the Super Bowl because I told you we have all week to do it. So that's what we're going to do. Some more NFL news and notes, and then we may wrap with a little college basketball, and I may have a victory lap to take. This is the George Plaster Show.
Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball comes back to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium for Season 5, February 4th through March 1st. Come watch women's basketball stars Alicia Clark, Tina Charles, Tihina Paopao, Lexi Brown, Isabel Harrison, and many more. Tickets start as low as $20, which gets you access to both games of the doubleheaders. Go to auprobasketball.com to buy your tickets today. AU Pro Basketball. Our court, our game.
When pro football's biggest game kicks off, Kentucky's biggest watch party is on. The Big Game Bash at Circa Sports, the largest sports book in Kentucky. Experience a 2-story sports betting and viewing experience with stadium-style seating, massive screens, great eats and drinks, and live game sound that puts you right in the action. The Big Game Bash at Circa Sports, located inside the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Book your seat today at circasports.com.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobis. Our forecast this afternoon puts us in the mid to upper 40s, but scattered rain showers throughout the afternoon and into this evening should give us some significant ice melt. Overnight tonight, we're back down to 20s.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. In case you missed Chase and Big Joe.
And I'm fine with it. Did you steal my pen? I had 3 over here that aren't working. You got like 2 over there. Well, I had a reason for it. I was doing color coding things, but no, that's fine. You do you. Do you really color code when you're doing all of these charts like this?
Jason and Joe, weekdays at noon. Your sports live here on 102.5 The Game.
For the love of climb. For the love of the fall. For the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry is hitting Nashville. Major League Rugby is taking over the Music City for one epic weekend as the Chicago Hounds take on the reigning champions, the New England Free Jacks. It's the Music City Rugby Showdown, live at Geodis Park on Sunday, April 19th, kicking off at 3 p.m. Hard hits, nonstop action. Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits the biggest stage in Nashville. Don't wait. Tickets will go fast. You can get your tickets.
Smashville lives here. The hits are heavier. The race is tighter. From Bridgestone Arena to the road, your home for Preds hockey is 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Get ready for the big game with Electronic Express, your local source for big screen TVs for over 40 years. Shop now for amazing deals like a 55-inch LG Smart TV for just $279, a 65-inch Hisense Smart TV for only $249, or a 75-inch Samsung Smart TV for just $429. Shopping local has perks too, like free delivery, available installation, and up to 24 months interest-free financing. Shop in-store or at electronicexpress.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Time for our stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. The Seahawks are looking for their first Super Bowl win since 2014. Who was the Super Bowl MVP that year?
I don't know the kid's name. It was that DB for hold on, their first. So the Seahawks are looking for their first Super Bowl. Who was the Super Bowl MVP that year? 2014. Golly. Oh, was it Marshawn Lynch?
You were on the right path to begin, and then you got off track.
I got sidetracked. Hold on. Let me think about it again. Super Bowl win since 2014. Who was the Super Bowl MVP that year? I don't think it was Russell Wilson. It was probably one of the receivers, and I can't remember their name. Go ahead, show me. Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith.
Yep, there you go. Couldn't remember his name.
Malcolm Smith. Yep. All right. So I told you yesterday that we have all week to preview the Super Bowl. That's what we're going to do, as we are now 5 days away. So I wanted to start with some graphics that I had made, some stats. First with the Patriots, and these are just postseason stats. So through 3 games, there are 3 playoff games versus the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos. The New England Patriots are scoring exactly 18 points per game while giving up 8.7. So while it's been very low scoring, again, they're the lowest scoring team through 3 games in the postseason to ever make the Super Bowl in NFL history. It's because they're giving up less than 10 points per game. So that's, part of it. Pass yards per game, not overly impressive, 147.7. Rush yards per game, more impressive, 130.7. So they're running the football very well. Here's the concerning part, is they have 5 turnovers. Now, if we flip to Seattle, the exact same stats, through 2 games, remember they had the first round bye because they were the 1 seed, they're scoring 36 points per game while giving up 16.5. They're averaging 213.5 yards through the air while running for 125. But here's the really impressive part. 0 turnovers. Kelly, does that trend of not turning the football over continue for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl?
I can't say that. I don't know that. I know that, through Sam Darnold's history, he's kind of been a turnover magnet, but the last couple of years he hasn't. He's learned how to play the position, and he's allowed the guys around him. I think when he got into the league, I think a lot of guys, when they get into the league, they feel like they got to prove something. He was he was a first-round pick, and he felt like he had to prove something in New York. That's a tough place to play, and when you don't have guys around you and you try to prove things and you get into trying too hard, then you turn the ball over. So I think the last couple of years, and I think going with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota kind of got him over the hump. And he just became a quarterback. And then this year he got paid all that money to go out to Seattle with Mike McDonald. They knew that all they needed was a quarterback, and they got him in Sam Darnold. And I think that I've said it last week. I'll say it again. I've said it yesterday. I'll say it again today. When you've got a team around you that is, I was reading a thing today. There's not really many superstars in this game. When you look at both teams, I mean, it's more of a bunch of guys that are gritty, that have been coached well, and they do their job. And when you see 0 turnovers, that's what Sam Darnold's doing right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's allowing his guys to make plays. He's getting his guys the ball. I brought up those stats yesterday where, you would think that, because a lot of times guys get crazy when they get blitzed. And a lot of times when you blitz, you're creating man-to-man situations. But he's got one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver in the league, against man-to-man. Jackson Smith and Jigba is killing people when they try to man him up. So Mike Vrabel and those guys are going to try to take him away. But it's going to be interesting to see the game plan, because if you look at the numbers, if you make Sam Darnold be patient, can he be patient? Can he be patient enough to take check downs, or is he going to start forcing the ball down the field, or is he going to, in his 8 years of experience in that league, just let the game come to him, and then he's going to get some opportunities to throw the ball down the field, and when he does, take those shots. So I think that's what everybody looks for. All these prognosticators, we get in here and we talk about all this stuff, but when you don't turn the ball over in the postseason, you're going to win a lot of games. When you don't turn the ball over that's why Tom Brady and the New England Patriots are so successful. One of the greatest quarterbacks. He's got to be. I don't know if it's arguable. I mean, he won 7 Super Bowls. He went to 10 of them
with 2 different teams.
So, yeah, 2 different teams. So I don't think it's arguable anymore. But if you look at what he did over his career, he did not turn the ball over. And that's why the New England Patriots were able to do what they were able to do, because Bill Belichick got guys that, nobody wanted. Kind of the old Al Davis thing where, Jim Plunkett goes there. Nobody wanted him. All these misfits go to the Oakland Raiders a long time ago that nobody wanted, and he made them into something special. Well, Bill Belichick did kind of the same thing in New England. He would get older guys that everybody thought was finished with their career, like a Brian Cox or, like a Rodney Harrison, or guys like that were really smart, that needed to be smart in his defense. And, he turned them into a championship team because they bought into the system. They bought into all that. And, Tom Brady was kind of the catalyst for that. But when you don't turn the ball over, you play really good defense, you got a chance to win games. And that's what the Seahawks have been doing all year. And Sam Darnold has kind of, been the catalyst for that. I never would have thought that he would not have turned the ball over, but he has done really well the last couple of years of that.
There was a texter that I was on a show earlier today, and there was a texter that said, or asked the question, does Sam Darnold deserve the comeback player of the year? if he were to win the Super Bowl. And, my thinking was, well, he was the starter all of last year for the Vikings,
Right.
and he did pretty well outside of their one postseason game. So, no, I don't think he deserves it. Now it's an incredible story because he was, projected to be this first overall pick in that 2017 class. I think there was a little bit of prospect fatigue because we were all talking about Sam Darnold being the consensus number one overall pick. And then it ended up being Baker Mayfield, and then Sam Darnold goes at 3 to the Jets. And not a lot of people outside of, Broadway Joe have a lot of success being the quarterback of the New York Jets. And then he bounced around, went to the Panthers, went to San Francisco, where I think he got his career going on the right path, working with Shanahan, went to Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. Now he's in Seattle with, Mike McDonald, Clint Kubiak, his offensive coordinator, who is going to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders next year. So it's been an incredible story, but I really love how, going back to these stats in the postseason for Seattle, not turning the football over in 2 big-time playoff games, including a conference championship game against the LA Rams, which at one point, we thought were going to be, the LA Rams and everybody else, because they were playing really well at the start of the year and even into the middle portion of the season. And you're averaging 36 points per game. Really, Kelly, Seattle, they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses. And I think that's been on full display. Offensively, they play well. Defensively, they play well. They picked up Rashid Shaheed from they made the trade with the Saints to get him, and he's been huge in the return game. So they don't have a whole lot of weaknesses.
No, and that's what you're trying to trend up towards this time of year, and that's what the Seahawks have been doing. And I think the one inconsistency they have is their running game, and sometimes they're really good, and it's matchups. In the National Football League, it's all about matchups, and sometimes some games they're really good at running the football, and then other times it's kind of dormant. So it's going to be interesting to see just how the New England Patriots can stack up against them in the run game, because I think Kenneth Walker, I said yesterday and I said last week, I think he's a really good back. You really don't pay too much attention to him, but man, he just reminds me of the guy I played with in Minnesota, and Adrian Peterson. He's just that guy, which is full speed. He's explosive. He's stocky. He's got strong legs. He can break tackles. He can give you yards after he's contacted. So I think that's I think that's going to be big in this game. Now, what does New England do to it? Are they going to totally stop the run? Because I'm not sure that New England is going to be able to control the clock like they did in the second half of the Denver game. Denver's kind of Achilles heel was being able to stop the run, and that's what Mike Vrabel said when he went in. They had that blizzard, which I've never seen a game like that before in my life, where it's sunny and then you have a blizzard and the wind starts blowing like that. But he just said in the second half, hey, let's run the football. They can't stop us. And I don't I think Seattle is, if not top, they're up there at the top of the league in rushing yards per game. They can stop the run. So I don't know if New England's run game is going to be able to control the clock. I think Drake May is going to have to run some, which he did in the Denver game. But when you've got stats like that, and when you're scoring at 36, points per game in the playoffs, you're doing something well. And they're a really good football team, and like you said, they don't have many weaknesses. They can rush the passer. They got guys in the back end that can cover guys. They've got on the offensive side of the ball a guy that can't be covered. You got a good running game. He's got a really good offensive line that gives him time. They protect him, and he can do things with his wheels too. I mean, he could get out of the pocket. Tony was talking about that, about Joey Aguilar not being able to run. Well, I was like that too. And it's just funny how the game has changed, Parker. With you got to be able to move up, you got to be able to step up in the pocket, but you've also got to be able to run and kind of extend plays like a Patrick Mahomes. And Sam Darnold's really good at doing that, and he could do that with this Seahawks team. So I think it's going to be a great game. I hope it is. But I don't know if New England's going to be able to control the clock, and I think that's the chance that they have. If they can't control the clock and control the game with rushing the football, I think we see it's a 4.5-point spread right now, but I don't see New England winning this game.
And that line has not moved. That line has not moved at all. It's been consistent at 4.5 since the line was released after conference championship games were over 2 Sundays ago. Again, I'm telling you, I think the X factor is going to be Milton Williams. And I shared this stat yesterday. I'll share it again for those who may not listen to yesterday's show.
That's crazy.
When he's on
That is
the
a good
field,
stat. Yeah.
in 12 games, when he's on the field, the Patriots are giving up less than 100 yards rushing per game. I think the number is a little over 80, so around, I think it was 84. When he's off the field, when he's not playing, in 5 games, they've given up over 140 yards rushing. So that's a 60-yard difference when Milton Williams is on the field versus when he's not on the field. So I think that's going to be the X factor. And remember, too, Seattle doesn't have Zach Charbonnet. He's done for the year.
Right.
They have
That's
Kenneth
true.
Walker, who played very well against the Rams in the NFC Conference Championship game. So, it's really, he's going to have to carry a large load, obviously, but so is Sam Darnold. And going back to the conversation we were having about Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think he's responsible for over 60% of the offense's total touches, which is absurd for one guy. So obviously he's going to carry a big load as well, but that offense really, despite Jackson Smith and Jigba being the primary focus, hasn't had much of a drop off at all.
Yeah, but I just see Mike Vrabel. Obviously, he was in all those Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, and he understands how it's done. And now he's the head coach of the New England Patriots, and they're coming off a 4-13 season, and now he's got them in his first year as the head coach. He's got them in the Super Bowl, which is kind of crazy to me. But Bill Belichick was always big about taking away your number one threat on offense, and I just see them doubling Jackson Smith and Jigba, and them saying, "Hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us, but you're not going to beat us with this guy." And I think that they're going to have to figure something out, because I think they're going to take him away. Now, can they take him away? I don't know. They're going to have a plan for him, but I just see that's the way that they're going, because that's the way he was trained. That's the way he was brought up. I can remember when they played the St. Louis Rams in the first Super Bowl, where Brady had just started that year when Drew Bledsoe got injured. I played against Drew Bledsoe, and he got injured that year, and then Tom Brady comes in. But they were talking about in St. Louis, it was the greatest show on turf, and they had a guy that I played with in Marshall Faulk, which was probably the smartest football player I ever played with, and he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. San Diego State guy, but he was a running back, and he was unbelievable. But those guys on defense, their plan was to knock those guys around and to not let Marshall Faulk get out on his route without being bumped by somebody. So they would have defensive ends. Now it took part of their pass rush away, but it threw the timing of the St. Louis Rams off that game, and they were able to come back. They were able to win that game. So I just see Mike Vrabel doing something like that. He's got to figure out a way to stop him. They've got to figure out a way to stop Kenneth Walker too, but I think they can with Barmore and those guys up front. With New England's front guys. So that's why we sit here and talk about it all the time. I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be. I love watching. I know people don't watch kind of the way I watch, but being involved in it, it's funny to see just how the game plan goes and just what they're trying to take away. And I just see them taking their strengths away from Seattle and seeing if they can adjust to that.
And again, that point spread is 4.5 points right now in favor of Seattle. And we're going to make our official predictions for the Super Bowl a little bit later on, just so we can kind of stretch out our preview here. But, Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys ready to go, no doubt. Again, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to win the game, but there are not many more prepared coaching staffs. And I think Mike Vrabel is utilizing his assistants and, the guys that are up in the booth telling him, different situations. I think he's relying on those guys a little bit more in New England than he probably did in Nashville. And that is kind of what I'm talking about, where, that year that he spent working with the Browns after he got fired, his year off from coaching, I think he was around Ohio State a lot too. I think in that year, Mike Vrabel really focused on some of the things that he did not do as well in Nashville. And when he got to New England, he started doing a lot differently. And when Mike Vrabel, when I say that he's coached a lot differently in New England, that's what I'm referring to. So he's going to have those guys ready to go, but I know Seattle will too, because they've just been, it's hard to see them losing the way that they've been playing. So I'm leaning Seattle right now, but I think this can be a lot closer than we may initially think.
Yeah, but Seattle's been the best team all year, in my opinion. They've been the most consistent team, and they're in a tough division in the NFC West, where they had to play San Francisco 3 times. They had to play the LA Rams 3 times. So, I think those are arguably the 3 best teams in the National Football League, and they're all in the same conference, are on the West Coast. So I think that's helped those guys with some of the tough games that they had been in, and for them to beat LA. They showed a stat, and I brought it up the other day, but Matthew Stafford was 6-1 against the Seattle Seahawks going into that game, and I really thought that. George thought it at the beginning of the year that they were the best team in the league, and I still think they were obviously one of the best teams. But Seattle came on with Sam Darnold. They brought Sam Darnold in, and he kind of got a new elevation to that team. He made them better. So I think with some of the tough battles they had with those 2 teams, and then you look at New England, and New England, they're in the AFC East, but Miami wasn't very good. The New York Jets are not very good. They went in and beat Buffalo, which was tough to do the way the Buffalo is now. And then Buffalo beat them towards the end of the year. But everybody's talking about just how the weak schedule that New England had. But still, you play who's on your schedule. And they played really well. And if you look at their last 3 games in the playoffs, they hadn't played very good. Now, is that Drake May's shoulder problem? I don't know. Was he kind of holding back a little bit? I don't know that either. They've got Stephon Diggs, who's kind of the experienced guy on their team, and I think he's helped those guys. He was in Buffalo for a while, and he had some problems with Josh Allen, but I think Stephon Diggs has helped those guys quite a bit, and I think that with some of his leadership and the leadership of Mike Vrabel, they got just as good a chance as any, and they're in the big game. It's kind of amazing. I didn't realize it, and I said it the other day. This is their 12th time going to the Super Bowl. They've been there more than anybody, any organization. And I know a lot of that came with Belichick and Brady, but for them to go 4-13 last year and to come back and be in the Super Bowl this year is a pretty outstanding feat by the New England Patriots.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their schedule right now, and it's been easier compared to what Seattle's had to go through to get here. But at the same time, too, Kelly, they had to play Buffalo twice in the regular season, and then they had to win their playoff games in order to get to this point. So they were able to do that, and they beat the number 1 team in the AFC. I know they were without Bo Nix. They beat the Broncos. They beat the Texans, who have 2 of the best defenses in the entire league. They beat the Chargers, who had a good year. Say what you want about Justin Herbert, because I know there are Justin Herbert haters, doubters, whatever you want to call yourselves out there. But at the end of the day, and Kelly, you know this, everybody in the NFL is a professional. And there's a difference between the Raiders and, the Broncos. There are differences, but at the same time, they're all professionals. And you beat whoever is on your schedule, and that's what they did.
All you can do, man, you beat who's ever on your schedule. They make up the schedule at the beginning of the year, even before the beginning of the year, and then, hey, you just play who's on your schedule. And they, 4-13 last year. Just think about that. Drake May, this is his 2nd year, and they're calling for him to be the most valuable player. And he played really good in the regular season. And you just wonder if the shoulder injury is causing some of this right now. But he's going to have to play. He's going to have to make plays in this game in the Super Bowl Sunday. They're not just going to let him sit back there and have his way. And it's been hard for them in the playoffs so far. They've struggled offensively, and they're going to have to play better. If they don't play better, I don't see Seattle getting beat.
Yeah, and 2, it's the Super Bowl. It's the last play of the game. This is the biggest sporting event in the world. So I have no doubt that Drake May, despite the shoulder, despite the sickness that he kind of was going through last week, he's going to play and he's going to give it his all, even if it's not 100%, because it's the Super Bowl nonetheless. I wanted to continue this conversation on the other side, as well as get into some more NFL news and notes, because there were some coaching moves, there were some coordinator moves that happened today. We'll get into that on the other side. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Smashville hockey. Around here, it can sound like a language of its own. But hey, if you can pronounce Demumbrian, then names like Yossi, Shea, Marchessault will roll right off the tongue. Nashville Predators, only in Smashville.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. You've heard me talk about the putting zone. Well, guess what? It's now open, and it offers a revolutionary indoor golf experience featuring state-of-the-art putting surfaces designed to replicate real-world course conditions. It allows players of all skill levels to practice, compete in tournaments, and connect year-round. Go by and see them at 3040 Sidco Drive and tell them Plaz sent you. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Welcome back into the Plaster Show. About 30 minutes to go here on this Tuesday edition. We're continuing our Super Bowl preview, and I did want to get into this, and this is going to spill over into, or I wanted to get into this last segment, but it spills over into this one. Who is a bigger story, Kelly? Sam Darnold or Mike Vrabel in this year's Super Bowl?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question, Parker. I don't know. I think they're both. I think they're both pretty big stories. I think Sam Darnold. I saw today. Sam Darnold is the only quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, to reach the Super Bowl with playing for 5 different teams. He's the starting quarterback, and I think he's been with 5 teams, and he's the first guy to ever do that and to take his team to the Super Bowl. So. I think we've talked about it quite a bit, man, but I'm happy for him because a lot of, I don't know how to say this, a lot of careers don't go like his is gone. He was a first round pick for the New York Jets, and he goes there and he doesn't have a very good team. He doesn't have a very good organization, and he doesn't play very good. And it seems like his eyes were wide open, and sometimes that happens in the National Football League. I talked to when we were talking to Tony, and he talked about that Ament kid and how the lights kind of came on for him, and he now knows that he belongs at the University of Tennessee. It belongs, even as a freshman, he belongs there. I think that always happens. I don't care if you're the first pick of the draft. I gave the example of Peyton. I can remember his first couple of practices. And even though that he knew his dad had been in the league for a long time, everybody knew who Archie was, and I think Archie did a great job with him. But you always still have in the back of your mind, am I good enough? Even though I'm the first pick of the draft, and even though I was a runner-up in the Heisman, there's a lot of debate about that year of the Heisman Trophy. But even though the type of career that I had in college, that does not translate into the National Football League. And there's always that part of you that says, I can remember having those thoughts. Am I good enough to play in this league? Because I played at a small school. And it just keeps building. Your experience keeps building, and your confidence keeps building. Sam Darnold went to New York, and you're kind of thrust into that spotlight, and you're on a team that's not very good, and everybody's thinking, Tony said 12 games into it, and everybody thinks you suck if you don't pan out. Well, there's not a lot of guys that have had the kind of career where he goes. I think he went to, after New York, he went to Carolina. And then he goes to San Francisco, and you talked about him learning behind Kyle Shanahan, and he was behind Brock Purdy, who was the last pick of the draft. And you're thinking to myself, I'm sure he was thinking, like, I was a number one pick in New York, and now I'm behind this guy. But he was able to put his ego aside, keep his mouth shut, and just learn how to play the game. And then he goes to Minnesota, and he's got Justin Jefferson. He's got all those guys that he's playing with. He gets with a really good offensive-minded guys, the head coach and Kevin O'Connell. He kind of settles him down. He learns how to play the game, and he finally figures out how to play this game. And not a lot of guys get to that happens to. Like Steve McNair was able to sit for a little bit coming to the Tennessee Titans when he was in Houston, and he was able to sit for a while to learn the pro game, and then they put him into the spotlight. That doesn't happen nowadays. And a lot of times when a guy goes to a team as a number one pick and you don't pan out, that's your career. And Sam Darnold's not like that. And Baker Mayfield got another shot. He's been everywhere too. And Baker Mayfield's found a home in Tampa Bay now. So you just never know how a career is going to go. So I think he's a huge story in this Super Bowl. I really do. The other huge story that you were talking about is Mike Vrabel being the first-year coach. Obviously, he learned being here at the Titans. But then he goes to a place in New England where he's familiar with, where he feels comfortable at. He knows Robert Kraft. And I said it yesterday, Parker, there's a lot of owners in this league that talk a good game, but when it boils down to it, are they going to give you everything you need to win and to win big and to maybe win championships? New England, he goes there and he knows Robert Kraft is that guy. Robert Kraft wants to win Super Bowls. He's won 6 of them. So they give him everything he needs. I don't know how much control he's got. I'd say he's got a lot of control there. But that's a really huge story too, because what he's done, you watch some of the things highlighted on SportsCenter, on ESPN, some of the stories that they do about Mike Vrabel has been there. He's done that. He's been to all those Super Bowls. He's won all those Super Bowls. And what he was here is he's probably taken some things that he learned here and taken them to New England, and it's helped him in his coaching. But I guarantee you this, man. I used to see when they used to bring him on the news down here, he's always out there with those guys. He goes over there with the linebackers because that's what he was. He was an outside linebacker. And guys are really, when they see their head coach out there, getting in drills with them and showing them what kind of the ins and outs of the position were and showing little details that can help them be a better football player and help them with some success, Guys really respect that. And I know just from hearing people, the players love him. Now, I don't know about the coaches. I mean, I'm sure he's good with the coaches too. I don't think it's like a Bill Belichick deal.
Well, he
And I
brought
don't even
over a
know how.
lot of his guys from Tennessee, so they must love him in order to follow him.
Absolutely. And he brought a bunch of players. I can remember us talking to Terry about some, I forget the linebacker. Is it the Gibbons kid? Yeah,
Dr.
like Jack
Gibby.
Gibbons. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. Like, he brought him there because he knows he's a good football player. You bring guys with you when you're new into an organization because they can help you fit the culture. And obviously, he felt like Jack Gibbons, everybody was downplaying him here, but he felt like he was a really good, solid football player, and he brings him up there, and he's played quite a bit there. So, it's kind of amazing what he's done in a year with Gerard Mayo. He went 4-13 last year, but this year, this guy's got him to the Super Bowl. So I think in all the experiences that you learn each and every place you go to, I think that's helped him. And, him being here in Tennessee, that was his first time being a head coach. Now he can take it, and he's elevated himself. And, I mean, they're in the Super Bowl. So I think both of those are huge stories, Parker. I don't know which one's more important, but, I'm for Sam Darnold because I know how hard it is to play in that league and to be a quarterback in that league and to come through all the things that he's come through, especially now with social media and everybody tearing you down. Man, I'm excited for him. And then I've met Mike Vrabel. I've sat with him at a table before. Seems like a really nice guy. Seems like a good guy. Seems like a no nonsense type of dude. But I guarantee you, those players love him and would run through a brick wall for him. So, look, I think everybody's like me. They're looking for a great Super Bowl.
New England has won 16 out of their last 17 games, and Seattle has won 9 in a row. So
wow,
that just kind of tells you where these two teams are, that they're very deserving. Whether you believe that the Broncos were the best team in the NFL when they had a healthy Bo Nix, I believe we have the two best teams in the Super Bowl, and I'm very excited for it. But yeah, no, going back to your point about Mike Vrabel, I do believe that his players would run through a brick wall for him, because you see him greeting them when they're running out of the tunnel. You see how he interacts with them, getting in drills with Will Campbell, holding the blocking dummy, letting him push him. You see him headbutting guys on the sideline, bleeding from his lip after the Chargers game. Guys love that. And his speeches in the post-game locker room, they love that too. I would run through a brick wall for him. I've never even played for him. So I was very sad when Mike Vrabel got fired here. Whether I agreed with it or not, that's a separate conversation. But I was very sad to see him go nonetheless, but happy to see him back in this spot. But we have no shortage of stories, whether that's, Mike Vrabel 2 years removed from being fired in Tennessee, back in the Super Bowl. You have Sam Darnold, a guy that's been passed up, by several teams, was basically thrown out to the streets after his time in New York. He's back in the Super Bowl, or not back in the Super Bowl. He's in the Super Bowl for the first time in his career. Then Drake May, a second-year guy, in the MVP running, may win MVP. He's in the Super Bowl in his second year. So you got stories all over the place. It's going to be fascinating. But Kelly, this is the point that I really wanted to make. And this is going to hit home for both of us in particular because we're quarterbacks. But Sam Darnold, it's this instant gratification society, right, that we live in. With, CJ Stroud, he had success in his rookie year. Has not had that same success since, but he had it. And it was one of the best rookie seasons ever for a quarterback. Jaden Daniels led his team to the conference championship in his rookie year. And I think that those were two of the worst things that could happen to a young quarterback, because now all these other organizations, all these other fan bases are expecting the same things. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Sam Darnold's on his 5th team in 7-8 years? Baker Mayfield, it was the former number 1 overall pick. He's just now getting into a groove with the Bucs. So it's not the same for everybody, but it's about getting in the right place, the right system, getting the right people around you to truly see if a guy can flourish or not.
People do not understand that, and that's where the social media and instant gratification, my college coach used to say, you are an instant coffee society, son. But a quarterback, You can't. David Cutcliffe has come on here and talked about this, but a quarterback you cannot treat the same as every other position. It's not the same. It takes time. It takes time to understand certain things. It takes time to understand the game. It takes time, especially when you come from college to the pros. There's not many Dan Marinos. You know, I was watching a thing the other day where Joe Montana still talks about Dan Marino, and he thinks he was the greatest to ever play the game with throwing the ball. Dan Marino was unbelievable, but Dan Marino, I think either the first year or the second year, took his team to the Super Bowl, and then he never went back. But there's not many success stories like that. Like, it takes time, and people are unwilling to give quarterbacks time. Jaden Daniels, you know, he was at a situation in Arizona State where, you know, he's with Herm Edwards, but he was athletically gifted. And a lot of those guys that are athletically gifted, like Lamar Jackson or like, you know, like some other guys that you talked about, C.J. Stroud. Well, C.J. Stroud wasn't a runner, but like a lot of those guys, when they're more athletic than everybody else, they struggle to learn the game because athletically they can get away from everybody. Lamar finally had to learn how to start playing the game. Now, Lamar is a really great athlete, and he's a unicorn, but he learned how to play the game from the pocket. And that's what I loved about him, because you can obviously tell he's a hard worker. Now, I'm sure Jaden Daniels is a hard worker too, but when those guys come into the league and they're talented and they're gifted and they can run like they do, well, like a Kyler Murray, well, maybe you don't watch as much film. Maybe you don't understand coverages. Maybe you don't sit in there for hours on hours and worry about that stuff, because you say, hey, man, I can get away from this stuff. I can use my athleticism. Well, when you get to the National Football League, man, those guys on the other side of the ball are trained killers, and they're just as fast as you are. And when I played in Cleveland, there was my defensive end, Courtney Brown, who was, you know, 6'5", 285, and the dude ran a 4.5 40. He's a defensive end.
Just a freak.
And I can't I can't outrun that. You know what I'm saying? And there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can. You know, Lamar can, Jaden Daniels can, but at some point, I always say this on this show, at some point, if you're given the opportunity and you stay around long enough, you've got to learn how to play the game. You've got to learn your protections. You got to learn your matchups. You got to understand coverages. You got to keep your head up, and you can't go crazy when crunch time comes at the end of the game. And a lot of times these guys do, and they use their athleticism, and they're finding out now, Jaden Daniels is finding out, like, man, if I want to stay in this league a long time, I'm going to have to learn how to stay in the pocket and just kind of move around and kind of give myself just a split second more to throw the ball instead of taking off running and getting hurt, because he was injured most of the year. And Lamar Jackson has been, you know, when he first came in the league, he stayed pretty healthy because, like I said, he was a unicorn. He could get away from guys, and he didn't take on hits. But now once you get older, you know, you start taking hits. But he's learned how to throw the ball from the pocket. But at some point, you have to learn how to play the position. And luckily for Sam Darnold, he's been in the right situations, and he's been able to prolong his career because, like I said, when you come in like he did and you bust your first time out, there's not too many people that get the same chances as Sam Darnold's gotten. And man, I'm happy for him. But that doesn't happen quite a bit. That doesn't happen a lot. And he and Baker Mayfield are the guys that it's happened to, and I'm excited to see those guys you know, get opportunities, and they make the most of that opportunity, but it doesn't happen a bunch. But our society, Parker, is so used to having their cake and having it right now. And a quarterback position is not like that. You have to be able to make mistakes. You have to learn from those mistakes, and hopefully you don't make too many mistakes where you can learn from them and you can keep playing. Because now the instant gratification, man, is so intense, and media is so rough on you, and everything you do is on ESPN primetime, and there's just no room for error, and it kind of sucks. But that's the life that we live right now.
I'll take a guy from college, and he's not he's not a quarterback, but I think of a guy like Ryan Williams at Alabama, who after his true freshman season, he came in 17 years old and was dominating the game from day one, who we were all saying, like, man, like,
oh yeah,
you know, other teams are going to have to deal with this guy for at least another 2 years. So, and then year 2 rolls around and he's dropping the ball and doesn't even get 1,000 yards receiving, and we're like, well, what happened? What happened to Ryan Williams that we saw his freshman year? Well, I could tell you, I don't think it had anything to do with his ability. I think he's one of the most athletic guys in college football, but I think what it had to do with was everything from the neck up. And when you're getting millions of dollars and you throw in the social media and you throw the fact that you're playing on ESPN and ABC primetime every other game of the week, and all that, again, NIL, you got the wrong people in your ears, that can start to mess with you, and especially in this day and age. But going back to, guys like Lamar and Jaden Daniels who could, outrun guys in college and even in the NFL, they're athletically gifted enough where, they're running 4.3s and they can outrun, the TJ Watts of the world. Not everybody can do that, but Lamar had to learn how to sit in the pocket and hit, all these balls down the field. And I'd honestly right now put Lamar up against a lot of other quarterbacks in the NFL, most quarterbacks in the NFL, when it comes to purely passing. I remember I went to the Manning Passing Academy, Lamar's junior year at Louisville, maybe, and I saw him throw the ball to other college receivers. I saw him throw the ball compared to other college quarterbacks, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, these people that are evaluating Lamar, they have it all wrong. Because this guy can truly throw the football, but people were talking about him maybe transitioning to running back or receiver. I'm like, no. This guy can throw the ball, but he just needed time to do that.
Expectations sometimes, I tell people this all the time, man. When you get paid all that money, when you get paid like a Josh Allen who makes over 200 something million dollars, that's great, man. You've set your family up for life. But guess what? When you get all that money, the expectations go from here and they're accelerated. And now people have the opportunity to boo you, to talk about you. And that's part of being a professional quarterback or being in professional sports. But like the expectations, you just talked about Ryan Williams. Yeah, absolutely. When he comes out and everybody starts talking about him, then he starts getting paid all this money, then everybody starts expecting stuff. And then that starts creeping in your mind and you're like, oh, I can't mess up. I got to play good. And you start putting undue pressure on yourself. It can have a bad effect on you. And that happens to a lot of guys, man. Like you love getting that money, but there's something that comes with that money, and those expectations, triple, quadruple. It's there's a lot of pressure that builds there.
A lot. This was a really good segment. We got into it. We fixed a lot of the issues that are wrong with quarterback development. Hopefully, coaches and general managers were out there listening. I doubt that any of them were, but we will. We'll hit one more break here on the Plaster Show. When we come back, we'll talk a little college basketball and get to bets of the day. This is the George Plaster Show.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a race and sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall.
Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits Nashville. The Chicago Hounds face the reigning champion, the New England Free Jacks, in the Music City Rugby Showdown. Live at Geodis Park, Sunday, April 19th, kickoff at 3. Hard hits, nonstop action. Don't wait. Get your tickets at chicagohounds.com. Kicking off at 3 p.m. Hard hits, nonstop action. Major League Rugby's biggest rivalry hits the biggest stage in Nashville. Don't wait. Tickets will go fast. You can get your tickets at chicagohounds.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment here on the Plaster Show for today. Wanted to get into some quick college basketball talk because Tennessee is going to tip off against Ole Miss from Knoxville, from Thompson Bowling Arena, Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, as they now call it, here in a little over an hour. And one of the guys that we were talking about with Tony Basilio was Nate Ament, one of those guys that was the number 4 overall prospect in his respective recruiting class, 5-star, the highest ranked prospect ever to commit to Tennessee basketball. He had some good games early on, struggled a little bit, which, probably comes with the territory, but now is really starting to take over the game. And Kelly, this kind of ties into the conversation we were just having about guys that just need a little bit of a cushion when they get into college. And when you have a special talent like Nate Ament, certainly it happens quicker than it might happen for other people, but still nonetheless, they need time.
Do you think that he can elevate them to another level? Because people in Tennessee are used to now, with the Rick Barnes era, of used to doing stuff in the tournament. Now he's trying to get to a Final Four, obviously. But do you think Nate Ament, the way he's playing right now, can elevate those guys to a different level during the tournament?
I don't know, because when you get to March, crazy things happen. You can have an off shooting night, or you can get in foul trouble early on. So crazy things can happen in March, and I certainly believe they're going to need more than just one guy. They got that on Saturday night versus Auburn because they had Felix Okpara, their big man, out, but other guys stepped up in his place, whether that was Dwayne Brown, a true freshman who had 10 points, Jalen Carey, a transfer from Vanderbilt, who had 13 points and was just killing the boards. So it's going to take more than one guy, but with Nate Ament, he's really starting to figure out, like, hey, you know what? I can take over a game. And he's starting to do that. And eventually he's going to crack 30 points, and that may be tonight. I don't know.
Yeah. How far do you what do you think Tennessee, because you're a Tennessee fan, we all know that listening to you on the show, but what do you think, and how far do you think they can go in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think it's going to be Elite Eight like last year or the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think, we've been asking Mark Griffin, we've been asking, guys like Taylor Barnett, the basketball insiders, what does it say about Rick Barnes if he's never able to lead Tennessee to a Final Four? Because that's ultimately what fans want. And last year, I would have been just fine making the Final Four if nothing else. You don't have to win the national championship. I just want to see a Final Four. I don't think that's going to be this year. I don't think they have the team to do that. And I don't think they're going to make the Elite Eight just because I think there are so many better teams out there. I think Sweet 16 is probably the ceiling for this team, which I'd say is pretty fair considering the slumps that they kind of endured, at the end of December, start of January, mid-January. I think that's pretty fair to say right about now.
That was something else. Well, what do you think about the Vanderbilt team? It seems like the Vanderbilt team plays really good together, and Mark Byington's got them buying into that. But I don't think they have much size. What do you think they're out? Do you think they can win the SEC?
I think it would. The way Florida's playing right now, I think it would take a lot to do that. I certainly think they're capable of playing in the championship game because the SEC from top to bottom is so balanced, and Vanderbilt is the highest ranked team, but I think Florida's the best team overall. I think Vanderbilt's probably number 2, but Texas A&M's been coming on as of late. Arkansas, you don't really know what Arkansas team that you're going to get. Arkansas's been hot and cold, so is Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's in this conversation really at all at this point, but I certainly can see Vanderbilt playing in the conference championship game, but I'm going Florida. I think Florida's been too good, too dominant as of late.
Man, we talked about it, man, just how the SEC was last year, and I don't know if it's that they're I guess they're not as good as they were last year. They had that number of teams to make the NCAA tournament is kind of crazy.
Like
Yeah,
Walter
but
Clayton, Will Richard, Elijah Martin, those type of guys. They don't have those anymore. But the front court's probably just as good, if not better. They're big guys.
yeah. So, do you think any team out of the SEC's got a chance to make a run at this thing at the end of the year?
I think Florida's your best shot. I really
Really?
do. I think if Florida plays how they played versus Alabama on Sunday, they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a tough out. I mean, because I told you, they outscored Alabama in the paint 70-26. That is absurd.
Yeah.
That's just
crazy.
bully ball. That's what that is.
That's a stupid stat right there. I've never heard of that.
So I don't know I think Vanderbilt is really, really good. I think they can absolutely make a run in this NCAA tournament. Again, they don't have the big guys that some of these other teams have, and the rebounding thing could be an issue. And I'm sure this is going to get clipped and played somewhere on a hype video, but I don't think Vanderbilt is good enough to be considered a national championship contender. I think they're good. I think they're really good. And I love what Mark Byington's been able to do, but I do not think that they're national championship status yet.
Yeah, well, just listen to George and how that guy's relentless in recruiting. I mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about Vandy. Yeah, big mistake overlooking.
Already happening.
Well, I think Memorial Coliseum, I think Memorial Gym down there in Nashville is totally different now. There's a new vibe. I think this coach is the right guy for them. I think he's a recruiting phenom, and I think he's going to get them there. I don't know if we've ever talked about Vanderbilt in the national championship, but what they did in football, I think they're starting to do in basketball. I think he's created he's created an atmosphere there. Their girls team is really good. They've won a national championship in baseball, a couple. So I think it's kind of the golden years of Vanderbilt athletics right now. I really do. Yeah, absolutely.
Golden age for the Doors. So no, their baseball team was the number 1 overall seed last year in the baseball tournament. I know they didn't advance past the super regional round, or no, they didn't even advance past the regional round.
Right.
But still, Vanderbilt baseball has been a staple in college baseball for a long time. Basketball team made the tournament last year in year 1 under Mark Byington. This year have a chance to even do much better than that. Their women's team's number 7 in the country, which is wild.
Good. They're really good. Yes.
Wild. Football team, it speaks for itself. You had the Heisman Trophy runner-up. So it certainly is the golden age of Vanderbilt athletics. Recapping bets of the day so far.
You're happy with yourself, aren't you?
I am very happy because I said yesterday that I would finally get above 500, and I did. I took Kansas plus the points. They got a massive win, and I mean massive win, on the road at Texas Tech last night. Texas Tech was able to beat Houston to the tune of 90-86. Not many teams are able to put up 90 points on Houston's defense. We know how good they can be, and Texas Tech was able to do that at home. Texas Tech's really good at home, and Kansas walked in their building and beat them. So really good win for Kansas. Kansas starting to get hot at the right time. I picked them to win, and they did. Got me above 500, and tonight I'm going local. Belmont plays Drake at the Curb Event Center. They are a 9.5-point favorite. Give me the Bruins plus the points. Give me the Bruins. I'm taking the Bruins to cover.
There you go. Good
Go
pick.
Belmont. Go Belmont. Get me to 6-4, and I'll be here to talk about it on the show again. Kelly, do this again tomorrow.
See you, brother. Be good.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. Our forecast this afternoon puts us in the mid to upper 40s, but scattered rain showers throughout the afternoon and into this evening should give us some significant ice melt. Overnight tonight, we're back down to 20s.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Laundry piling up? Make it easier with the latest washers and dryers from Electronic Express. We carry top brands like LG, Samsung, Speed Queen, Whirlpool, and GE. So whether you need an all-in-one unit, stacked unit, front load, or top load, we've got that. With free delivery, the guaranteed lowest prices, and up to 24 months free financing, upgrading your laundry room has never been easier. Find your perfect setup in-store or online, only at Electronic Express. We've got that.